Garrett, let's move to your main event. You've got it in your byline. Let's talk about the Utah Utes. 10-4 a season ago. They went 8-2 in conference. Pac-12 champs for the second season in a row. You look at 10-4, and you wouldn't immediately assume, hey, yeah, they beat USC twice, and they beat Oregon, and they definitely tripped up against UCLA, but then they turned around and beat USC. Like their season was so bizarre, and it got off to a weird start, losing that game 29-26 in the Swamp, a game that you and I did not give Florida any chance in.
No.
And then the Gators, snatched playoff eligibility basically from the Utes in week 1.
Yeah.
Now Utah gets a shot at Florida this year in Salt Lake City. Questions about if Cam Rising is going to be healthy as he continues to rehab from the torn ACL. You talk to folks in the Utah camp, they say, yeah, he should be ready to go. You talk to more of the national scene, and there's more skepticism, right?
If you talk to Cam Rising on Twitter, he says he's fine.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So, this is a veteran
We'll see.
team. This is a veteran coaching staff. Kyle Whittingham's in his 19th season. Andy Ludwig has been running the offense now for nearly a decade. Morgan Scaley has been there for almost as long as well. The over-under per my bookie is 8.5. And I think that's a great place to kind of start this discussion, because when I look at this roster, Garrett, I think that their defensive line is going to be really good. I think their offense throwing to Keithy should be really good. Jaquin Jackson should get his on the ground. But I've got the team weakness as health here at the beginning of the season. And I wonder if they're not fully healthy, where in this schedule do they start to get the momentum that carries them to a 10-win season? That's kind of what I'm concerned about heading into this year. I really do like the team, but Florida off the top, UCLA, Oregon State before the bye, at USC, Oregon. You've got Arizona State that's mixed in there, at Washington. And then, oh, by the way, you got to play Colorado to finish the season. There's not really a stretch where I go, okay, this is where Utah makes their run.
Yeah, let me strap on my helmet for this one, because we're going to have to do a little bit of exploring to figure out how to do this. But if you're asking about where in the schedule do they get ramped up, I think it's just their first couple games. Look, Florida at the Swamp, that was a disaster. But you also have to remember they were a bad decision, right? Just a late throw away from actually winning that one and escaping. I think if they had decided to run the ball maybe one more time on the goal line instead of just trying to run some weird spread concept and a little sit-down route. Yes, I know it was to your tight end. I understand that. Kincaid's amazing, whatever. But there are 3 guys on him, and it was a weird zone, and you should have never thrown that ball. But that aside, you're playing Florida at home. You go to Baylor. We've talked about Baylor on a previous one. Go find our Baylor preview. They're probably not going to be amazing. I think that they can win that game. Weber State, awesome campus. I've actually stayed on their campus for previous trips. Not a very good football program. And so I think that you can use the first couple of weeks to really kind of ramp up your season and get things rolling. Look, I will continue to bang this drum. I think Cam Rising is possibly the most disrespected quarterback in the nation. I think when you just talk about guys who don't get nearly enough love for what they do, Cam Rising has to be up there. If you're looking at the stats, I want to pull these up real quick. Looking at the stats, yeah, the passing offense didn't look too good, 50th in the nation. Passer rating, though, 29th at 148. And you really look at what they're able to do in the scoring category. They're able to score 38.6 points per game. That ranked 11th last year. It's not going to necessarily be a high-flying, guns blazing type of offense, but to disrespect Cam Rising as a good quarterback, to call him a bus driver as if they don't score points and they're just a rough and tumble team that puts up whatever they need to so their good defense can step up. That's just not how this Utah offense works. This is a good offense. I think that Jaquin Jackson is going to be the breakout candidate of this season. I think at the end of the year, people will be talking about him as a top running back across the country. And I don't think that it'll be too much debate on that one. Dude's a stud. We've both watched him pretty up close and what he can do just physically. He's an athletic freak. And I think that he's going to be a massive factor on this Utah team this year. You're right about the tight end. Yes, replacing Kincaid is going to be tough, but they're going to be just fine. I think that this is a top tier team. I have them going 11-1. I have them making it back to the Pac-12 championship, and go ahead and doubt it. But they're one of two teams in the last couple of years to be back-to-back conference champions in the Power Five. Not Georgia either, right? Because Bama won a couple years ago. But them in Michigan, currently people just say, "Oh no, it's the other sexy pick. It's the Ohio State or USC, whatever else." These are still the two-time reigning conference champions at the moment. I'm still going to bang that drum for Utah. They're going for the first three-peat, I think, in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And I think that that's enough motivation to get them up and get them ready to go. I don't necessarily think that they're going to do that. I think right now I'd pick USC in a tight one in the Pac-12 championship game. I do have them losing at USC. I think obviously the magic of last season is going to run out in terms of their regular season matchup with USC. I do think I have them losing to USC tight and barely making it out. But I don't think that there's another team on the schedule who really scares me if I'm Utah, right? You've beat most of these teams. You lost to Oregon by 3 last season. UCLA, I think, is going to take a pretty big step back from where they were last season. And I think that you're just going to be a better team. And I know that Trey's probably somewhere saying, "Oh, yeah, but Kyle Whittingham, he always does this. He's going to lose a stupid game. They're going to lose at Oregon State."
They do always lose a stupid game. That is true.
But Trey's not on the pod today, so he can't tell me anything. So I believe in Utah. I'm going to keep believing in Utah. Those are my guys. I'm going to get a Utah home field shirt over here for the rack pretty soon. And we're going to keep rocking and rolling with them. So I'm going to go for the three-peat. Maybe not, but I will take them to the Pac-12 championship game. 11-1 for the Utes. And yes, I'm definitely a Utah homer right down here. You can go ahead and read that and feel free to complain in the comments. I'm going to keep rocking with the Utes.
The thing that I'm really concerned about for Utah is they're replacing Clark Phillips III at the cornerback position right now.
An
They get
elite corner.
Yes, and who's already turning heads in Atlanta Falcons camp. Miles Battle transfers in from Ole Miss. He brings 45 starts in the SEC to Salt Lake City. So they get, a veteran replacement and a very good one. They don't have cornerback 2 or the nickel spot locked down as of yet. Clayton Isbell hit the portal like a day before spring ball. So they don't have a starting free safety right now. But they do have Cole Bishop at the strong side safety spot. The defensive line is going to be very good. So again, common theme, question marks around the secondary, and in a conference where every team's going to throw the ball, it's like playing Russian roulette, picking some of these games, right? Versus UCLA at Oregon State on a Friday night up in Corvallis. That's going to be
tough.
weird.
That's tough.
Right before the bye week. And then you talked about it. USC at USC versus Oregon. You get Arizona State, and then Washington, Arizona, and Colorado to finish it out. I certainly don't think that Utah goes 11-1, but to say that I think they can get to the Pac-12 championship game again because of the random weird losses that you could have these teams run up against, right? So the Utes are going to be very, very strong this year. And, Pac-12 is not top heavy, but they've got some legit championship contenders at the top.
Right. My big point for Utah is until they stop being who they are, they should be at the top for a while, right? That who they are is just a slightly different type of offense, right? It's an offense that these teams don't prepare for on a week-to-week basis, right? Like if you're USC and you're going up to Oregon, you're going up to Washington, it's a similar style of offense, right? You're going to spread it out. You're going to throw it around. You're going to have to hit guys at the berry. You're going to have to try to guard the edges and look out for the stuff over the top. And to line up against Utah and to see them come out and put a guy under center and, hit a play action to the tight end and everything, like it's a different style of offense that people aren't used to seeing. until they stop doing that, I think they're going to keep stealing games every now and then and making this thing really fun. So in the same way that when I was looking at USC, I said I can't justify them winning all of those games, I'm also going to look at Utah and say they're not going to win all those games, but I can't justify them losing all those games either. So I'm going to keep rolling with the Utes. It's just a different type of team. And one of these days it'll bite me, but it's not going to be this year.
Gracious, how about that?